What's going on, guys? Matthew here. Welcome back yet again to another video. And before we start, I do want to apologize because I haven't been posting recently. And the only reason was because I was stuck with doing finals. I'm in school, so I just been finishing up with the finals exams, final papers, and everything. But now that school's out, I do want to start getting back into this. I do want to start doing this a little bit more consistently. A couple days ago, I posted this on my story. And as you can see, this is what we call a parallax, because that's when the foreground zooms in as the background zooms out. And today I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Now, because I use the Adobe collection, I am going to show you guys how to do this on Adobe Photoshop and Premiere Pro. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to take your photo and you want to place it into Photoshop. Now that you're in Photoshop, you're going to go to layers, you're going to make a background copy. You're going to take that background, you're going to slide it down, and it's going to create a copy. You want to select the copy layer and you're going to go select the pen tool and you're going to start making a selection around your object. Depending on how well the outline of your object is, depends on how fast it's going to take. So don't rush, just take your time. It will be done and no problem. I did this in around a minute or so. Now that you're done with that, you're gonna connect the lines. You're gonna make a blue line. Then you're gonna right click inside the selection. You're gonna go up to press make a selection. And now you're just gonna press OK. Now this black and white line, or what people may call it marching ants, is going to appear. Once you're done with that, you're going to go to edit, fill. Once you press fill, this window is going to pop up and it may say something else. It may say foreground color, it may say background color. You're going to select that window and you're going to press content aware. Now that you've pressed OK, depending on how well your hardware is, it's going to depend on how fast this is going to take. For me, it just took a couple seconds. Then once that's done, the background should fill in by itself. Now, if it's not perfect, you can use the stamp tool to sort of correct the areas that you don't like. You don't have to go crazy on this because the very center of that selection isn't going to be shown in this photo. If the outlines of that selection is a little wonky and you do want to fix it up, use the stamp tool and you should just be able to clean up those areas as well. But you don't have to go crazy, you don't have to go in depth. Now that you're done with this, you're going to press File, Save As, and you're going to save it as a JPEG. Personally, I'm going to save it to my desktop. Whichever one you pick, whichever one you find easiest, you can save it to whatever you want. Now that you're done with that, you're going to reopen the photo into Photoshop, the original raw photo. And once you're in Photoshop, you're going to go to the layers, you're going to take the background and you're going to make a copy of it, just like what we did with the first part. You're going to drag it down, make a copy, and you're going to select the background copy. Now you're going to go up here, you're going to select the selection tool, and now once you've done that, this plus sign should start popping up, and as you can see, this black and white line starts to cover the outline of your photo. If you see that that outline starts to bleed into the foreground, don't worry, you're just going to press Alt on your keyboard and then you should just fill in whatever it didn't catch. You're just going to do that for the whole thing. Again, just making those minor detail adjustments however long it takes. Don't rush, it doesn't have to be too quick, just take your time with this. Now for time's sake, I'm just going to do this very sloppily, and that way we can just get through with the rest of the video. Now that you're happy with what you got, you're going to press delete on your keyboard, and then you're going to go to the layers panel and you're going to turn off the original background layer. Now as you can see, the background is now transparent. Now if you want to save this with the transparent background, when you go to File and you go to Save As, now instead of saving this as a JPEG, you want to save this as a PNG file. When you save this as a PNG file, this allows you to view the image with a transparent background. If you save this as a JPEG, the background is going to get filled in and it's not going to be transparent. Now that you saved both your photos individually, now we're going to take those photos into Premiere Pro. That way we can start making the parallax. Now that you got your photos into Premiere Pro, you're going to drag and drop the individual photos into the timeline. we're going to double click the foreground layer. Now we're going to drag our time tracker to the very beginning of that clip. Now that we've done that, we're going to press on the stopwatch or the toggle animation key. Now we're going to drag that time tracker to the end of that clip. And now we're going to scale up the image. Personally, I'm going to do it up to 120. Now that we've done that, now once we slide that time tracker left and right, as you can see, it starts to zoom in and out. Now that we've done that, we're going to drag the background and line it up with the foreground. Now I didn't know this, but you actually need to make the background on the first track and then put the foreground on the second track. That way you can see both images at the same time. Now we're going to do the same thing like what we did with the foreground. Because the background is zooming out, we don't want to start zooming out from the original scale, because if we start to do that, the image will start to see these black lines around the edges. So to combat that, we're going to increase the scale to 120. Like what we did before, we're going to slide the time tracker to the very beginning of the clip. We're going to press the toggle animation key or the stopwatch, and then we're going to slide that time tracker to the very end of that clip. Now you're going to go to scale, and you're just going to put the scale back to 100. Now as you can see, it zoomed out. It does the little trippy effect, the parallax effect. Now that you're done with that, we want to start to render this footage. So you're just going to go to sequence, render into out. Okay, now that you're done rendering, you're going to press file, export media, and you should just be able to export it from there. If you're still not sure how to, just follow what I did here and you should be able to export it just fine. Now that does it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. This is really fun to do and it's really interesting, especially if you want to try to up your Instagram game, up your story game. It's good for photos that you're not necessarily want to post officially, but you do want to use. You can post these on your story. You can use this parallax effect to really make your Instagram pop. Now, if you did enjoy, please leave a like, please subscribe, please tap the bell for notifications. It really does help me out a lot. Now that school is out, you should start seeing a lot more of me, a lot more of captured moments on this channel. So I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to share more content with you guys. So that does it. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.